Hello, I am Detective Inspector Jonathan Oates, London Borough of Ealing. This is the fourth in a series of talks about crimes which have taken place in the London Borough of Ealing. This one begins on the 2nd of January 1895. Sarah Jane Higgs, who was then aged 23, was employed as a live-in servant at £16 a year in a house just off Haven Green. The 2nd of January was her evening out. She had 2 hours to herself and she spent those outside the house. Her friends said in retrospect that she was going to Yiewsley, which is where her parents lived, just a few miles down on the railway line. Another friend said she was going to Yiewsley to visit not her parents but a dressmaker. However, she was not seen alive again. On the 24th of February 1895, a shopkeeper in Yiewsley saw what he thought was a bundle of rags floating on the surface of the canal, which runs through Yiewsley. On investigation, he discovered that this was the corpse of a young woman. He summoned a doctor and the police. They took the body out of the canal. It had been in the canal for several weeks, but had not been seen previously because of the ice that was covering the canal. The body was discovered to be that of Sarah Jane Higgs. It was also discovered that she had injuries on her head and that she had not drowned. She had therefore been dead before she went into the water. She was also 3 months pregnant. But what else do we know about Sarah Higgs? Well, firstly, she had attended St Matthew's Church of England School in Yiewsley. At age 14, she had been employed as a servant by Frank Potter, the station master at West Drayton. In 1891, she was working for Harry Dickinson and his family at Hartington Road in West Ealing, and she had begun her current employment in 1894. It was also found that in 1891 she had given birth to a son, Henry, whose father was unknown, but whoever it was had contributed to the baby's maintenance. Unfortunately, the baby had died in 1892. The question was, who could have killed Sarah Higgs? Well, there was a young man called Charlie, and he had been seeing Sarah a few times in the previous year, but he had not seen her for several months. Then there was Mr. William Hammond, a labourer of Yiewsley, who recalled seeing her in Yiewsley around Christmas time, but he could not be more precise than that. The other possibility, of course, was that Frank Potter, the station master, had some involvement in the case, but there is no evidence for this. The general supposition was that she had been killed by the father of her child-to-be. Perhaps he was married, perhaps she was blackmailing him. It's unknown as to why she was killed. And at the inquest, it was concluded that this was murder by person or persons unknown. A little bit more research, however, discovers another suspect. Harry Dickinson, a commercial traveller who was born in Canada, had several children, and crucially had been her employer in 1891, could well have been the father of her first child, and quite possibly her second child. It was noted by one witness that she was seen with a young man called Harry on the morning of the day she disappeared in South Ealing, and this is approximately midway between the place of her employment and the place where Harry Dickinson lived. Whether Harry Dickinson was actually questioned by the police is not known, but what is certain is that he was not charged with the murder. It is unknown whether Harry Dickinson was indeed a murderer, and in fact he remained living in Ealing until at least 1901, but he seems to me to be the most likely of the suspects that we have. Thank you for watching this. Please remember to like the video and to subscribe to Ealing Library's YouTube channel.